Welcome to the Savage Executive Podcast, wisdom for the weight you carry. I'm Steve Smith, and whether you're running a company, leading a department, or building your first team, this is where faith-driven leaders come to sharpen. Let's jump into it today. Imagine a water bottle, a perfect design. Beautiful bottle, you pick it up to drink and you get just a trickle. A trickle. You flip it over, you shake it, you flip it again. There's water in there, but it's not coming out the way that it should. That's what happens in most organizations. You've built something real, you've got revenue, you've got customers, you've got a product or service that people want. But the throughput is often clogged. The water's backing up somewhere and you're getting a trickle when you should be getting a flood. Last week, we talked about financial clarity. We broke through the fog. You pulled together a cash reality report and now you know where you actually stand. That's good, that's foundational. But here's what I know from working with many different organizations. Financial visibility reveals something even more critical. Most businesses and organizations aren't short of money because of financial chaos. They're short of money because something in their operation is broken. Something's backed up, something's constraining everything else. And until you find that thing, until you identify the actual bottleneck, every improvement you make elsewhere has limited impact. You can tighten your sales process, you can improve your product, you can optimize your marketing. But if there's a bottleneck upstream, none of it matters as much as it should. Imagine a highway, 6 lanes of traffic, perfectly paved, well-designed, but then all 6 lanes funnel into a single lane under a bridge that is only 4 feet wide. What happens? Well, traffic backs up for miles. The problem isn't the 6-lane design, the problem is the bottleneck. Your business or organization probably has a bottleneck. Maybe you know what it is, maybe you don't, but it's probably there. And identifying it, really identifying it, not guessing about it, is the work that we're doing today. This is the Bottleneck Audit, and it's going to show you exactly where your business or organization is really stuck. Not where you think it's stuck, not where you hope it's stuck, where it's actually stuck. And once you see it, it begins to change everything. The Bottleneck Audit has 4 steps and they build on each other. This methodology comes from theory of constraints developed by Dr. Goldratt. It's been refined by operations experts for decades. It works across industries, manufacturing, services, software, professional services, both for-profit and non-profit. Every business has a constraint. This is how you find it. Step 1, map your process. Every business has a flow to it. Things that move through your organization. In a manufacturing business, raw materials come in, they get processed, become finished products, and they ship out. In a service business, work requests come in, they get assigned, they get executed, and they get delivered. In a product company, features get requested, designed, built, tested, and shipped. Your job in step 1 is to map that entire flow. And I mean the entire flow, not just the parts you think matter, all of it. Let me give you a concrete example. Say you're a web design agency. A client calls in, that's the start of the flow. It goes initial call, proposal review, contract signed, now a discovery session, design phase 1, client feedback from that phase 1, revisions, design phase 2, final approval, development, a question and answer time, a launch, and then post-launch support. That's the flow. Every single step from the moment a prospect comes into the moment they're fully satisfied customer. Don't skip steps. Don't leave things out because they feel obvious. In a B2B software company, it might be inbound lead, sales qualification, product demo, proposal, negotiation, contract, onboarding, training, usage, and support tickets. The flow for a service business might be intake meeting, assessment, proposal, kickoff, execution, review, delivery, and follow-up. Now here's how you actually do this. Get your team in a room, give everyone sticky notes and a big whiteboard or a piece of butcher paper. Have each person map their piece of flow. Where does work come in for you? What do you do with that? Where does it go next? You'll probably begin to find gaps. You'll find people don't agree on the flow. That's a good thing. That's the beginning of clarity. Once you have the full map, refine it until everyone agrees this is how work actually moves through your business. Not how you think it should move, but how it actually moves. Write it down, take a picture. This is your starting point. That's step one. Now, step two, measure the flow. Now that you know the steps, you need to measure how long each step takes. But here's where most people get this wrong. They measure work time and confuse it with flow time. Let me explain. A graphic designer tells you, I design logos. Takes me about 3 hours per logo. 3 hours. Well, that's work time. But when you look at your actual data from the moment a customer requests a logo to the moment they have it in hand, it takes 2 weeks, 14 days. What's the difference? Everything else in between. The logo request sits in an email. The designer gets to it in about 2 days. They work on it for 3 hours. The client gets it, reviews it, gives feedback. That takes another 3 days. Then the designer revises it. And ultimately, it continues this process until the client approves it and ultimately can export and deliver. So work time is 3 hours. Flow time is roughly 14 days. And flow time is what matters for your business because that's what your customer is experiencing. That's how long they're waiting. Here's how you measure it. For every step in your process, track 3 things. How long does the actual work take? That's work time. How long does the step take from start to finish, including waiting time? That's flow time. And how much is it utilized? When the work is actually happening, what percentage of the available time is spent working versus waiting? Track this for a couple of weeks. Get real information and look for the gap. There will be steps where work time is short, but flow time is long. That's where things are backing up. Maybe you've got a bottleneck where work sits in a queue for days before anyone can get to it. Maybe you've got a step where one person is the only one who can approve things and they're overloaded. Maybe you've got a process that requires 5 approvals and 3 of them are checking boxes. The data will show you. Don't guess, measure. Brings us to step 3, identify the constraint. Now you're looking at your data, and somewhere, maybe multiple somewheres, you're going to see a step that is clearly different. Something's taking way longer than it should. Something's creating a backlog. That's your constraint. That's your bottleneck. It shows up in different ways. Sometimes it's a person who's become indispensable. Everyone's waiting on them. Sometimes it's a piece of software that can only handle so much volume. Sometimes it's a process that's inefficient and slowing everything else down. Sometimes it's a decision gate where things can't move forward without approval. The common bottlenecks that I see in businesses and organizations is a creative leader who's become the gatekeeper for every project. Nothing ships without their approval. An onboarding process that can't keep up with sales. Deals come in, but customers can't get set up fast enough and momentum dies. A proposal queue where good deals go stale, waiting for someone to write them up. These patterns show up again and again. Different industries, same constraint. One piece of the system is slower than everything else, and the whole machine runs at that speed. The constraint might even be you. That's a hard thing to face, but sometimes it's real. I'm going to come back to that. The key to identifying the real constraint is looking at the data. Where's the queue? Where's the wait time longest? Where would the whole system speed up if that one thing got faster? That's your constraint. Which brings us to step 4. Apply the 5 focusing steps. Once you've identified the constraint, you don't attack the whole system. You focus all your energy on improving that constraint. This is crucial. Most companies waste effort improving non-constraints. Here's the 5 focusing steps that come from the theory of constraints. They're simple but powerful. The first one is identify the constraint. We just did that. You've got your data, you know what's holding everything back. Step 2 is exploit the constraint. This means squeeze every bit of capacity out of that constraint as it currently exists. Don't rebuild it, don't redesign it, just optimize it. If your constraint is a person, it means protecting their time. It means removing meetings that they don't need. It means automating everything around them so they can focus on the thing only they can do. If the graphic designer is your constraint, they shouldn't be managing emails or dealing with scheduling. Someone else can handle that. If your constraint is a process, it means streamlining that process. Removing steps that don't add value, making it as efficient as possible in its current form. The goal of exploitation is to get 10, 15, 20% more throughput from your constraint without major That's often enough to solve the problem. Step 3 is subordinate everything else to the constraint. This means that the whole organization aligns to support the constraint. If the designer is your constraint, your sales process slows down to match their capacity. If onboarding is your constraint, your sales team doesn't overpromise on speed. This feels wrong at first, but it's critical. You can't keep doing things that create more work upstream of the constraint. That just creates a bigger queue. Step 4, elevate the constraint. Once you've exploited it and subordinated everything else, if the constraint is still a constraint, you have to elevate it. You expand its capacity. You hire more people, you buy more technology, you redesign the process. But here's the thing that you probably don't need to do. Most of the time, exploiting and subordinating solves 60 or 70% of the problem. But when you do need to elevate, at least you're investing in the right thing. So step 5 is go back to step 1, because once you've fixed your constraint, something else becomes the constraint. The system will reveal a potential new bottleneck, and you do the process all over again. That's how you drive continuous improvement. Here's what I see in founder-led companies. The founder often is the bottleneck because their competence becomes the constraint. They're the best at what they do, so naturally big decisions flow to them. Important things require their sign-off, and slowly they become the speed limit of the entire organization. Every decision waits on them. New hire, personal interview. New feature, their approval. New vendor, they vet it out. New customer contract, they review it. Nothing gets faster than their decision-making speed. The team means well, they're good people, but they start accommodating the bottleneck. They wait, they batch their questions, they come less often because they know that he's slammed. Meanwhile, the founder is drowning and the company is only as fast as their capacity. This is where the bottleneck audit reveals something difficult. When the data shows that you are the constraint, it stings. Founders especially. You've spent years being the person who makes things happen. Now the data is saying you're the problem. But here's where it gets interesting. The founders who lean into this don't defend themselves. They ask, what do I do? And the answer is the same every time. Exploitation first. You don't rebuild the founder, you get more out of what's already there. You document every decision the founder makes. Hiring, products, vendors, contracts. For each one you ask, does this actually need their approval or can someone else decide this? Can we set clear criteria so the decision makes itself? For hiring, you set up a structured funnel. Coordinator screens, team does early interviews, founder only sees final candidates. That alone frees hours. For product decisions, you create a review process. The team comes with full documentation. The founder reviews asynchronously, meeting for vendor and contract reviews. You create templates and thresholds. Small items don't need them. Medium items might be able to go through someone else. Only large ones come to the founder. Within weeks, you've squeezed 20% more capacity out without adding anyone else. Better decisions because they're not drowning. Team moves faster because they're not waiting. But eventually you'll hit a ceiling again. The founder still can't scale, so you elevate. You hire an operations manager, someone who runs the day-to-day, manages the team, handles routine decision. That frees the founder to do what only they can do, strategy and relationships. Months later, when you ask, what's your bottleneck now? The answer is different. Maybe it's product development capacity. Maybe it's sales. But it's not the founder anymore. That is true growth. And that's how organizations grow. There was a time when I had become the bottleneck of our organization. And I had to face that reality as an executive to realize that I was slowing down the process. And there were aspects that I had to relinquish to our team in order for them to be able to speed through. Now, what I did was I helped to train them. I helped to develop them so that they would make decisions similar to the way that our organization wanted to make those decisions. But it empowered them in such a way that they were able to run faster. They were able to grow in their area. And I stopped becoming the bottleneck, and we were able to grow beyond my own personal capacity. In the book of Exodus, chapter 18, Moses is leading the Israelites through the desert. Every day, the people bring their disputes to him. He sits as a judge all day, just resolving conflicts and answering questions. His father-in-law, Jethro, watches this. And eventually he says something like, Moses, what are you doing? Why are you sitting here exhausted while everyone waits in a line? Moses didn't have a system. He was the constraint. Every decision flowed through him, and he was drowning, and the people were waiting. Jethro says, choose capable people, teach them the laws and principles, let them handle the routine cases, bring only the hard ones to you. In other words, delegate, create a system, don't be the bottleneck. You know what Moses did? He listened, and suddenly the system could move. His people could get decisions faster. He wasn't destroying himself, and better decisions happened because he could focus on what only he could do. That's exactly what happened in the story I just told. That founder was Moses, sitting there exhausted, making every decision until he realized he could build a system that didn't require him to be the bottleneck. As a savage executive, you have to be willing to look at yourself. Are you the bottleneck in your organization? Are decisions waiting on you? Is the team waiting for your approval? Is every customer escalation coming to you? If the answer is yes, you're limiting your organization. And if you're not sure if the answer is yes, ask your team. And the beautiful part, you can fix it. Not by working harder, but by working differently. This week, you're going to map your process. Not all of it. Pick the most important flow in your business. For a service company, that might be how a new client goes from inquiry to first project completion. For a product company, it might be how a feature request becomes a shipped feature. Get your team together, whiteboard, paper, whatever, map the flow, write down every step. Don't judge it, don't optimize it yet, just see it. Then for the next 2 weeks, start collecting data. How long does each step take? Where does work still wait? Where are the cues? Don't be perfect about it, just start paying attention. And by the end of next week, bring that data to a team meeting. Here's how work flows through our organization. Here's where it's backing up. Here's where we're waiting. Don't solve it yet, just see, acknowledge it. That sight, seeing where you're actually bottlenecked instead of guessing, that will begin to change how you view things. The Bottleneck Audit Playbook is available to you. It's got the full 4-step framework, the measurement template, and the 5 focusing steps with real examples. Feel free to email me at steve@savageexecutive.com for your copy, and I would be happy to connect with you and send that your way. Use it with your team. This is advanced stuff, but it's doable. And next week, we're dealing with something that lives upstream of your bottleneck, decision velocity. Because even if you find your bottleneck and fix it, if you're making decisions slowly, you're still constraining your organization. You've got a hiring manager waiting on your green light. You've got a vendor proposal going stale. You've got a team that needs direction and you're still thinking about it. That's when being a savage executive means deciding faster, not more perfectly. It's called decision velocity, making the right call faster. And it's going to show you how to move at the speed your business needs without losing quality. Thank you for being a part of today's episode. If today's episode served you, do me one thing, share it with one leader who needs it. That's how this community grows, one honest conversation at a time. Subscribe wherever you listen. Leave a review if you're able. And if you want to go deeper, head to savageexecutive.com. I've got resources built for leaders just like you. I'm Steve Smith. This is The Savage Executive. Wisdom for the weight that you carry. And I'll see you next Tuesday.